Thank you, Ann Dahl and Chaplain Pack. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Good afternoon. On behalf of the presiding officer, Lieutenant Colonel Brian Gibbs, welcome to today's ceremony. This afternoon, we pay special tribute to Lieutenant Colonel Dan Morgan and Lieutenant Colonel Chris Warner on the occasion of their retirement after 22 years of dedicated service to their country and the United States Air Force. My name is Captain Patrick Hearn, and I'm your narrator for today's ceremony. We are honored to introduce some special guests with us today. Please hold your applause until everyone has been introduced. From the 86th Operations Group, Deputy Commander, Lieutenant Colonel Kevin Coughlin, and Senior Enlisted Leader, Chief Master Sergeant Brian Roy. Ms. Crystal Gibbs, spouse of the presiding officer, Lieutenant Colonel Brian Gibbs. Ms. Allie Morgan, spouse of Lieutenant Colonel Dan Morgan, their son Liam and daughter Anna. Ms. Charlie Warner, spouse of Lieutenant Colonel Chris Warner, their daughter Autumn and son Alexander. Lieutenant Colonel Tim Student, U.S. Army and his family, friends of the Morgan family. Lieutenant Colonel Saban Temizkin, Turkish Air Force, friend of the Morgan family. Bob German, uncle of Allie Morgan. Sarah Dominitz, family, friend of the Morgan family. Miss Jackie Bainham, and his wife, Miss Pamela Bainham, parents of Miss Charlie Warner. Fra Inga Ettinger, neighbor of the Warner family, and her son, Eric Ettinger. Retired Major Kenton Jenkins and his wife, Elizabeth, and their children, Isaac, Ethan, and Alice. We also welcome all senior officers, commanders, chiefs, first sergeants, co-workers, friends, and family who are attending today both in person and virtually. At this time, it's my pleasure to introduce our presiding officer, Lieutenant Colonel Brian Gibbs, commander of the 76th Airlift Squadron.
Beverages, gents. Hopefully you guys all had a chance to grab one as well. We're doing little things a little bit different today, and that's quite all right, because we got a couple special individuals here. So yeah, to start off, Prost. All right, it's a great Air Force day, isn't it? Before I get started, we're talking about our soon-to-be retirees. Just want to take a second to say thank you on behalf of these two fine gentlemen and their families. To everyone that helped make today one of the most epic retirements I've ever had the pleasure of attending. I want to say thank you to our Projos, Lieutenant Derek Gaskins and Master Sergeant Crystal Rivera, our narrator, Captain Patrick Hearn, our proffers, Brian Everett, Nate Smith, Haley Hurst, our singer, Miss Ann Dahl. That was amazing. Thank you very much for that. That was wonderful. Our photographer, Mrs. Chelsea Reed, and our chaplain, Chaplain Pack. Thank you for those words. Any prayer that starts off with blue skies is one for me, so thank you for that. And so all the behind-the-scenes doves who helped bring it to life. I know it takes a lot, and not just to our doves, but to our maintainer friends alike. Thank you. You all have earned the weekend off. Not you though, Chaplain. Sorry, I don't think I have the authority to waive the Lord's requirements for you to work on Sunday, so my apologies. First off, I just want to say how honored I am to be up here to be the presiding officer and the speaker today. Several months ago, both Chris and Dan came into my office, and my mind immediately went, uh-oh. My two most senior officers in the squadron walking in at the same time, I'm in trouble. I've done messed up something as a commander, and they're here to tell me about it. But instead, they pitched the idea of a combined retirement, contingent upon Sink House approval, of course. And it actually warmed my heart. Because here I have two of my most respected and influential leaders of this squadron that normally should be more rival tribe leaders, if you will. Learjet versus Gulfstream, Moose versus Herc, maybe a Red Sox versus Yankees sort of rivalry, Philadelphia Eagles versus like every other NFL team. So despite any perceived rivalries, they wanted to do this together, which I'm super awesome and excited about. But what some of you might not know is that these two gentlemen have been intertwined for years, even before this assignment. They routinely talked on the phone and email, and when they finally saw each other, Dan told me it was everything he expected from the Louisiana accent. A little bit of drawl and twang, and mixed in with some Creole that makes you turn your head a little bit. But then getting stationed together, their professional bonds turned into more of a special one with families who were a perfect match for one another. So today you get a twofer on retirements, a Brangelina style retirement, if you will. We did some combos of their names and thought, Mourner, no, that's not right, it's kind of heavy for a retirement. But Worgen, especially if you say it in that southern accent there, sounds like Worgen, and I'm all about it. So welcome everybody to the Worgen retirement. But that also means I get twice as long to speak, right? Watch out, Senator Booker, we're coming for your new filibuster record today. And you guys all get a lengthy speech too for it. I'm kidding, I wouldn't want to make this painful. We'll just make it different. And since we have both a C-21 evaluator here and a C-37 evaluator up here, and as I look out into the crowd, I see a bunch of C-21 and C-37 operators, and the planes, that we also operate. Now is the time for something completely different. So welcome, doves, to your no-notice check ride. That's right. Some audience interaction this time around is required. So if you don't mind, please open up your scripture to the book of Morgan and Warner, chapter 1, verse 76, aka your Morgan Operations Manual, and open it up to the pages with their bios in it. In your seat, you should also have a 20th century voting device. Sorry, Gulfstream operators, no fancy technology for you cheaters today. You know when they say that you have multiple children, you're not supposed to tell them which one is your favorite. But you know you do, right? You kind of do. You can't just say it out loud. So we're just going to start off with a test run of our voting devices. Put up your vote for which one of these guys you love more. No, put it back down. Come on now. Q3 is all around. I'm sorry. No, y'all are gullible, but I do like it. That's good. That's good. All right. New jet, new day. Let us begin. Which of these two fine gentlemen do you think has the most flight hours? Okay, good, all right. Some people have been studying. Yeah, Dan Mo, okay. What about combat hours? Okay, yeah. You guys have done your research. All right, what about graduated as an outstanding contributor and academic performer from ASBC? You even know what that is? Neither of them. Yeah, I like it, Elizabeth. Thank you. Dan Mo, okay. Yeah. How about started at Andrews Air Force Base doing DV creeds, solidifying his future of DV airlift right out of college? Well, that's a tough one. Yeah, okay. A little mix there. Yeah, that would be Dan Mo. How about deployed for more than 7.6 times? Grand total of 14. Yeah, you see that boy. How about served in the Army National Guard? Yeah, unique one. All right, demo. What about the coolest chest candy? This one, I don't know. I don't know which one takes it. This is more opinion based. Yeah, there you go. All right, okay. Swapped it up. That's great. All right, I love it. How about join the military due to a strong family member influence of military service? Tough one. There you go. Spin it around. Both of them. Absolutely. Yep. Served as an inspector general. There you go. Kevin got it. I'm so glad you're here, man. He booed me yesterday in the practice. It's and then how about has parachute swings? There you go. Some of them more fresh than the others, but both of them got it now. That's awesome to see. All right, everyone passes. A couple of downgrades in there, but so we'll stay around for the debrief afterwards. But let's take a trip for these two gentlemen from cadet to lieutenant colonel. We'll start off with Dan Morgan. Dan grew up as a military brat, heavily influenced by the men of service in his family, just kind of like we just talked about. His grandfather served in 3 separate branches and actually served alongside of his father in Vietnam. Dan always knew he wanted to fly from an early age, so it wasn't dumb luck that he's standing here before us today. He took a unique path to the Air Force service, choosing to utilize the benefits of the Army National Guard to college rather than a little more traditional path. But after graduating from Kent State in Ohio, where he first started dating Allie, He moved out to Andrews Air Force Base for casual status, where he got his first taste of greeting heads of state, Air Force One, and former presidents, folks he gets to travel with now. He then went on to pilot training in the great state of Texas, where he flew the Texas 2 and the Toner. After that, he dropped the Mighty Moose. So he did his initial call out of Altus. It was there that the then personnelist, Allie, you told me you would say that, and he tied the knot, made it officially, quietly in Deers, and then transitioned over to their next assignment together at McCord. It was here that Dan flew his rear off and found his passion for one of the things he's most proud of in his career. He was one of only 8 nuclear airlift aircraft commanders in the entire Air Force, and he excelled at it. Dan's superior performance was, with no shortage of accolades, started here with several high-hitting awards and stratifications, a theme that remained consistent throughout his career. Due to his unique qualifications, he spent the equivalent of 2 assignments there at McCord, and in 2012, the Morgans moved to Dover, Delaware, where Dan first became an evaluator, but more importantly, where they brought Liam into the world in 2013, a huge blessing to their family. Following Dover came Kirtland, New Mexico, where Dan's nuclear expertise paid off, and his new role as a nuclear inspector as part of the Air Force Inspections Agency. His arrival to the unit wasn't overly welcoming, unfortunately, primarily because they had hired a Captain Morgan, and what showed up on their door was a Major Morgan, immediately demoted, straight to jail. Armed with a new pay raise, it was time to make the family a little bit bigger, and Anna was brought into the world during that assignment in 2015. Due to some great connections and a little bit of luck and timing, Dan was offered an assignment to fly C-40s out of Hickam, following New Mexico. The luck and timing was a weird one, though, as half A3 does what half A3 does. And they took that beautiful C-40 right up from underneath them. That's okay, because we were the ones that became lucky in the timing piece of it. We became the victors, because Dan was able to stay at Hickam and qualify into the Gulfstream. Outside of the plane, Dan had a couple of very hard-hitting jobs at that point in his career. He served as C-37 chief pilot, director of staff at AMAL during full spectrum readiness. That's your cue. The PACAF chief of inspections, an 06 level job, and deputy group commander at PSAP, primarily focused on fighters and bed down of Marines, something a little bit outside of the normal for us. So after his return, and after as much seafood and rice that Anna could stomach, and a fun discovery about where coconut water comes from for Liam, it was time to trade in their tropical paradise for wine, culture, and European travels. And the Doves got the Morgan family that you all know about today. So cheers for Dan Morgan. Transition over to the next one. Chris Warner. Chris describes getting his start in the Air Force from watching and learning from his dad. An Air Force maintainer with 22 years of service, unlike his own, maybe by 1 additional week, yeah. His dad's name was Brian, so clearly he was a good guy. Never met a Brian I didn't like. It was clear his father was a very influential person on Chris, someone who knew everyone and would give you the shirt off of his back. I've heard that story, I think, no more than 4 or 5 times. And that's in a short time that we've had together. So it meant he meant something to you, and I'm thankful for that. It was through those connections that Chris was mentored into garnering an appointment to the United States Air Force Academy. Chris graduated from USAFA in 2003, fellow Gold Tiger. Oh boy. I was sent to Barksdale Air Force Base, Louisiana for casual status, where he had the awesome opportunity to work in the same squadron as his father, a rare one, the 96th Bomb Squadron. A fantastic start to a stellar Air Force career. Following this, he went to UPT, flying T-37s at Columbus and T-44s at Corpus Christi, much like ASBC, some of you guys don't know. And was selected to fly AC-130 gunships. Chris excelled in the Herc, garnering a DG and PIQ, and several Superior Performer Awards in his gunship upgrades. Evidenced by his SOS Top Third and several flying accolades. Cody, thank you for saying that. He showed to be a natural and humble leader, both in the aircraft and out, right out of the gate as a young officer. As most special operators do, Chris traded in the lovely beach of Hurlburt for AFSOC West, aka Cannon. He upgraded to instructor in the gunship funship while he was there, but most importantly, it was during this assignment where he met Charlie. The two were separated by a 2-hour drive, but it didn't keep them from growing together. She made the drive routinely from Amarillo to Clovis and back, in between their high ops tempo of a 1-to-1 dwell time that Chris would routinely deploy on. It was during one of these 14 deployments where things started to become a little bit more clear to Chris, that he wanted Char to be in his life forever. So in early 2012, they tied the knot, and later that year, Autumn was born. It wasn't even a year later when Alex came along. A wonderful surprise blessing to make the family whole. Like Dan, Chris also spent the equivalent of 2 tours in the same location, and it was in Clovis that Chris started his in-depth experience into the Inspector General world. Nerd. With this new role and some family considerations at play, they took an assignment to the Pentagon, where Chris's career really shined as a top FGO. And in case his ops tempo wasn't enough in the gunship, Chris was selected for an all expenses paid, fun in the sun trip to do gym tan laundry for 365 days in Kabul. In true fashion, as a superior officer and aviator, though, he shined in his role as an air advisor there and received several accolades, most notably the Bronze Star. That Char so diligently helped to make sure we did right by and get him his hardware that was unfortunately lost during the pandemic. So then in 2020, after 5 years at the Pentagon, which is 5 years too many, some might say, the Warner family got the dream assignment. 76 Airlift Squadron at Ramstein Air Base, Germany. Chris crushed it during his time here, leaving me entirely too big of shoes to fill as the DO, so thank you for that. And after a year over at the SOS, he rejoined back into the Dubb formation for these last few months, where we've had the pleasure of leading on both Chris and Dan's tremendous experiences, sage wisdom, passion for service, and insight. And I can't think of a better way to go feet dry, coast in, and combat exit checklist complete than ending an esteemed career like yours and being the influential leaders that you have been at the squadron level, the heartbeat of our Air Force. I know that we're just hitting some of the wave tops of these 2 men's careers, and that we could go on for days highlighting all the amazing things that they've accomplished. Trust me, it's all there in their records. But knowing these 2 men, I know what they truly value out of today, and that's celebrating with you all in the same humble fashion that these 2 have proven to lead their lives time and time again. And a major part of their story is not their accolades, as meaningful and well-earned those may be, but rather the story of what kept them in the Air Force this long. Service alongside you all and the irreplaceable connections that they've made. And most importantly, the contributions and sacrifices of their families who stood beside them through thick and thin. Both Chris and Dan expressed to me that their lives are better for the highs and the lows that they've been through with their families. Tough times in life that made them better men, better husbands, better fathers, and better mentors to the likes of us. And zero regrets through it all. Speaking of being a better mentor, I'd like to share with you all what Dan and Chris meant to me. I haven't told them in closed door setting, so I figured why not tell everyone in front of a setting in more than 100. I racked my brain for weeks on end how to pay tribute to these 2 fine men we see before us today, and whether I was actually the right man for the task, because I wasn't sure how best to do justice to their careers that the 2 men had had. I mean, what a career. You can glean from what you see inside their bios in your hands, but I get a unique access to their entire performance records, and oh my, they both read like Homer's Iliad and the Odyssey. I think they might have actually gone to college with Odysseus too, right? In a pre-command classroom setting at the Air Force Academy, we were asked who would be the first people we wanted to sit down with to set the culture of the squadron. Semi-jokingly responded, my Instagram influencers. It garnered a chuckle, but then I explained a little bit more in depth. As a commander, you're the de jure leader, but by law, but your trust still has to be earned. There are several de facto leaders in every single unit, though, that can outpace a commander in setting the culture. It's these types of influential leaders I want on my team. And that I listen to intently, that I bounce hard problems off of, that I trust fully to tell me when I'm screwing something up, or to tell me, "Woosah, boss, woosah," with a graceful and calming smile. Or when they say, "I got you," when you're overwhelmed, and you know that they're going to take it off your plate and go the extra mile and probably do it better than you could have. It's leaders like Chris and Dan and Chris, Morgan, if you will, that you want in your corner for life. And I'm lucky to call you guys friends. And honestly, I think that's what our relationship has thrived on: a shared mutual respect for a life of service, common goals like a desire to give back, a strong calling to mentorship, and leaving things better than you found it. But above all, focus on our families as the foundation and top priority. And on the topic of families, Allie, Liam, Anna, Shar, Autumn, Alex, I want to say thank you all for giving us your husbands and fathers. We'll never be able to give you the time back from the dozens of TDYs and deployments that they went on, late nights and early mornings, missed birthdays, anniversaries, and holidays. But I do want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for lending them to us. And please know that they made the most of their time while they were with us. Their service made a difference in so many ways. And although we can't give that time back, what we can promise to you is that you'll always have an extended family to call upon in a time of need, no matter the time, no matter the place. You have a unique family across the globe that looks forward to our next get-together, phone call, email, or adventure. So gentlemen, to you, I want to close on one last thing. We've talked a lot together in person over the last year or two about leaving a legacy and what we want that to look like. As you step out of the uniform for the last time and transition to the next big adventures, know this: what you did during the life of service mattered. You successfully built the bench of people right here who are ready to keep the mission moving. You touched lives all across the globe. You deterred enemies and strengthened partners. You've built a community of friends and colleagues that you can call at any time, day or night, and who feel that they could do the same with you. But most importantly, you've served with honor and integrity while remaining steadfast to the family you have sitting right here in the front row. I'd say that's quite the legacy that you had on. So with that, I think it's about time. Ready to send it? Let's do it. Thank you all.
Thank you, Lieutenant Colonel Gibbs. Will the retirees please join Lieutenant Colonel Gibbs center stage? Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the presentation of the Meritorious Service Medal. Attention to orders. This is to certify that the President of the United States of America, authorized by Executive Order 16 January 1969, has awarded the Meritorious Service Medal, 4th Oak Leaf Cluster, to Lieutenant Colonel Dan H. Morgan and 3rd Oak Leaf Cluster to Lieutenant Colonel Christopher L. Warner. Lieutenant Colonel Morgan and Lieutenant Colonel Warner distinguished themselves in the performance of outstanding service to the United States in various leadership roles and as evaluator pilots, 76 Airlift Squadron, 86 Operations Group, 86 Airlift Wing, Ramstein Air Base, Germany. During this period, Lieutenant Colonel Morgan and Lieutenant Colonel Warner enabled executive airlift and operational support missions for the White House and combatant commanders, building partnerships in Europe and Africa while countering Russian aggression on the NATO alliance's eastern flank. Furthermore, they provided United States European commands only 24-hour-a-day air medical evacuation alert coverage and ensured important operations for the busiest airlift hub and the European theater of operations. Finally, they provided critical organic training capacity to revolutionize training and standardization to the C-37 and C-21 fleets. The distinctive accomplishments of Lieutenant Colonel Morgan and Lieutenant Colonel Warner, while serving their country, reflect great credit upon themselves and the United States Air Force. gentlemen, please remain standing for the reading of the retirement order. Special Order Number Alpha Charlie 017623 and Special Order Number Alpha Charlie 018939, dated 1 July 2025, Certificate of Retirement from the Armed Forces of the United States of America. To all who shall see these, presents greetings. This is to certify that Lieutenant Colonel Dan Morgan and Lieutenant Colonel Christopher Warner have served faithfully and honorably, are hereby retired from the United States Air Force, effective on the first day of July, 2025. Signed, General David W. Alvin, Chief of Staff, United States Air Force. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, the American flag will now take center stage as a special flag presentation for the retirees. Please remain seated as we conduct the flag folding presentation. For more than 200 years, the American flag has been the symbol of our nation's unity, as well as a source of pride and inspiration for millions of citizens. Born on June 4th, 1777, the Second Continental Congress determined that the flag of the United States shall be 13 stripes, alternating between 7 red and 6 Coleman, and that the Union be 13 stars, Coleman in blue field, representing a new constellation. Between 1777 and 1960, the shape and design of the flag evolved into the flag presented before you today. The 13 horizontal stripes represent the 13 original colonies, while the stars represent the 50 states of the Union. The colors of the flag are symbolic as well. Red symbolizes hardness and valor. White signifies purity and innocence, and blue represents vigilance, perseverance, and justice. Traditionally a symbol of liberty, the American flag has carried the message of freedom and inspired Americans, both at home and abroad. In 1814, Francis Scott Key was so moved at seeing the stars and stripes waving after the British shelling of Baltimore's Fort McHenry that he wrote the words to the Star-Spangled Banner. In 1892, the flag inspired Francis Bellamy to write the Pledge of Allegiance, our most famous flag salute and patriotic oath. In July 1969, the American flag was flown in space when Neil Armstrong planted it on the surface of the moon. Today, our flag flies on constellations of Air Force satellites that circle our globe, and on the thin flash of our aircraft in harm's way in every corner of the world. Indeed, it flies in the heart of every airman who serves our great nation. The sun never sets on our U.S. Air Force, nor on the flag we so proudly cherish. Since 1776, no generation of Americans has been spared the responsibility of defending freedom. Today's airmen and guardians remain committed to preserving the freedom that others won for us for generations to come. By displaying the flag and giving it a distinctive fold, we show respect to the flag and express our gratitude to those individuals who fought and continue to fight for freedom at home and abroad. Since the dawn of the 20th century, airmen have proudly flown the flag in every major conflict on lands and skies around the world. It is their responsibility, our responsibility, to continue to protect and preserve the rights, privileges, and freedoms that we as Americans enjoy today. The United States flag represents who we are. It stands for the freedom we all share and the pride and patriotism we feel for our country. We cherish its legacy as a beacon of hope to one and all. Long may it wave. Thank you, Ramstein Honor Guard, for performing today's special flag ceremony. It is a tradition that every retiree that receives a special retirement pin as a memento of their active duty service. Lieutenant Colonel Morgan has requested that his wife, Allie, present this pin, along with his son, Liam, and daughter, Anna. Morgan family, please come forward. Lieutenant Colonel Warner has requested his wife, Charlie, present this pin, along with their daughter, Autumn, and son, Alexander. Warner family, please come forward. Lieutenant Colonel Gibbs will now present the Presidential Certificate of Appreciation for Service in the Armed Forces of the United States of America to Lieutenant Colonel Morgan. There's a couple. Lieutenant Colonel Gibbs will now present the Certificate of Appreciation from the Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force. Lieutenant Colonel Gibbs will now present the Certificate of Appreciation for Service in the Armed Forces of the United States to Lieutenant Colonel Morgan. And Lieutenant Colonel Gibbs will now present the Certificate of Appreciation from the Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force. At this time, Lieutenant Colonel Gibbs will now present certificates of appreciation to Ms. Allie Morgan and Ms. Charlie Warner. Ms. Morgan and Warner, please come forward. Certificate of Appreciation from the United States Air Force. In grateful appreciation, the United States Air Force presents the Certificate of Recognition to Ms. Allie Morgan and Ms. Charlie Warner for the commitment and numerous contributions that made positive impacts to the nation's defense. Thank you for the support, which gave strength and purpose to your spouse's service. Signed, General David W. Albert, Chief of Staff, United States Air Force. Additionally, Ms. Morgan and Warner are receiving a certificate from the Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force, which reads, Certificate of Appreciation from the Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force. On behalf of all Air Force airmen and their families, the Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force presents these certificates of appreciation to Ms. Allie Morgan and Ms. Charlie Warner. I join your spouse, family, and friends in thanking you for the numerous contributions and sacrifices you made in support of our United States Air Force. Your dedication gave strength and purpose to your spouse's service in defense of our country. Signed, Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force, David A. Flossie. Thank you, Lieutenant Colonel Gibbs. At this time, Lieutenant Colonel Morgan and Lieutenant Colonel Morgan would like to present gifts to their wives and children. Lieutenant Colonel Morgan and Lieutenant Colonel Warner would also like to make a special presentation to their children in recognition of their support throughout their fathers' military careers. Will the Morgan and Warner children please come forward? The Military Child Memo reads, "Throughout the years of your life, you have made sacrifices and served your country as much as I have done. In your loving way, you quietly shouldered the heavy burden that you were asked to carry. Most of the time, you could not understand why I was not there, but you quietly hid the tears, courageously put on a smile, and defiantly promised that you would still support me. You were there, then as now, one of the most important parts of my life, and it was your love that enabled you to assure me that what I was doing was important. I missed so many holidays and countless special occasions that while you were left at home to worry while I was on difficult missions, you had to say goodbye to friends when we moved throughout the years, and you had to change schools. Your resilience and self-confidence throughout these frequent moves gave me strength. I'm proud of you, for it was your love and support that sustained me in those difficult times. There's no way in my mind that I could have been a success in the military without having your support, your understanding, and most importantly, your unquestionable love. Thank you for being there for me." Thank you, Liam, Anna, Autumn, and Alexander. Finally, there are a few special gifts to present to Lieutenant Colonel Morgan and Lieutenant Colonel Morgan from the members of the 76th Airlift Squadron to say thank you for their dedication and support.
Gentlemen, we'd like to thank both of you for your exemplary service, both to the United States Air Force and to the Doves. We're going to miss both of you very heavily. Your experience, your wisdom, sense of humor for both of you is definitely going to be missed. So on behalf of the Doves, we'd like to present one with your lithos. We'll pull them over here so you don't have to carry them around. But we have a couple other gifts as well. For each of you, different aircraft, but we've got your respective airframe photographs for you. That's awesome. You guys can keep over there. Thank you so much. We are currently covered in glitter.
Thank you, gentlemen. I would now like to call Ms. Morgan forward for a special presentation. Thank you. A true leader has the confidence to stand alone and the courage to make tough decisions and the compassion to listen to others. Lieutenant Colonel Morgan and Lieutenant Colonel Warner did not set out to be leaders, but became such by the quality of their actions and the integrity of their intent. Ladies and gentlemen, the United States Air Force is proud to present our first guest of honor and our newest retiree, Lieutenant Colonel Dan Morgan, retired, United States Air Force.
Oh, yeah, that had to happen right before I speak. Hold on. I need eyeballs. There we go. Service connected. Yeah, service connected. Reclaim it. All right. There we go. Man, y'all are sharp. First, I'm going to start with an apology, right? I apologize for anyone I don't call out by name, but I assure you all are forever in our hearts, and I thank you very much. We're going to rip through this in about 7.6 seconds, minutes, maybe hours, I don't know. But we'll try it. We're going to go fast. Ladies and gentlemen, fellow aviators, esteemed leadership, friends, family, and a special thanks to the OSS, the AES, and the maintenance rent-a-crowd for filling out the audience. I appreciate you all. I have the distinct pleasure of being this ceremony's middle guy. And much like the OPB, I won't get read or listened to. And as such, the pressure to impress is off. So sit back, relax, take a couple sips of beer, which I forgot. I'm throwing off my game now. Thanks, honey. And have a couple sips of beer with me. Appreciate you. All right, first off, I echo Colonel Gibbs, and I want to send a huge thanks to the team that made this ceremony amazing and moved mountains this week to make it all possible. Lieutenant Colonel Gibbs, thank you for those beautiful words and for honoring us today. It's a true honor for us. You're right, Chris has had an amazing career, and I have to say, I'd really like to meet the other guy you were talking about. He sounds pretty cool too. Thank you all for being here today as we celebrate retiring from the Air Force after 22 years. Gibbs covered a lot of my speech, but we're going to rehash it, but from a first point of view. It's been a long journey full of adventure, camaraderie, and just enough CBTs to qualify me for carpal tunnel on my upcoming disability appointments. I joined the Air Force with one dream, to fly, and fly I did. They gave me the keys to a C-17, and I spent years hauling everything from tanks to toilet paper across the globe. Then I transitioned to the C-40, as you heard, and suddenly I was chauffeuring VIPs, learning the fine art of how to win friends and influence people when working with AMD. Finally, they handed me the keys to a C-37, where I mastered the art of smiling and ensuring the aides that despite their hour late arrival to our jet, we will do our best to arrive to the destination on time. Through it all, I was lucky to be stationed in some of the best bases the Air Force has to offer. You heard them before, but these are my highlights. Laughlin Air Force Base, Texas, where we survived the Texas heat as well as the daily stand-ups, but I also met great leaders like Zach Hall and Burt King. Allie also survived many hours of driving from Oklahoma on the weekends to visit, and occasionally getting pulled over, sometimes more than once. 3 times in a single night. Wow. Love you for that. She hasn't heard this speech either. Altus, Oklahoma, a quick 6 months here learning C-17, but also managed to get a wife between simulator training missions. And now we stare down our 19th wedding anniversary in exactly 1 month from today. Corps Air Force Base, Washington, where I learned that if it's not raining, it's about to. As well as the true meaning of FFLP, my 4th AS folks will understand. Let's just say it means fly, fight, and live proud. Dover Air Force Base, where I learned that really there is nothing in the state of Delaware. And after 6 years on the West Coast, I had to move to the East Coast in order to get my first mission to the Pacific. I don't know how that works. This is also where this man entered our lives, and I couldn't be more proud of you. More to follow. Currently at Air Force Base, New Mexico, where working for the Air Force Inspection Agency was not easy, but beat working on the daily fires at a match column or the Pentagon. Here's also where I received Anna, despite Liam's best efforts. She was not put in the backyard to sleep with the bunnies in the garden. In addition, it is also where I met that guy, as you heard before, while I was working with SAP IG. We phone dated for a while, teasing with tasker after tasker, and eventually we met via VTC. And you already covered the first words I said to him, but yep, you look exactly like you sound. In reality, we kept each other sane while surviving our staff assignments. Take Air Force Base, Hawaii, the vacation assignment. I see Zoya in the crowd, the true Red Sparrow, who is always the person I name when somebody asks, remember that one girl? It's always Zoya. Also the person to get me to bungee jump off a 75-meter platform in Singapore. Still not sure how that happened, but she's the cause. Thank her. Rebecca Sutton, I know she's in the crowd. My homie from Hickam, who's always the professional and never afraid to call me out. Appreciate you. And I also see Colonel Ortiz. He's in the crowd over here. His support got us through the PAC FIG inspections and also offered sage advice and helped keep morale high on the team. I appreciate you as well. Ramstein Air Force Base. Tim, Saban, thank you for attending today and making this both a joint and multinational event. Checks the box. Appreciate you guys. Your friendships in the neighborhood has meant the world to my family. This assignment has been an amazing experience with great missions and some not so great, like stays in Djibouti or extended TDYs sitting in DC. But with folks like Christina, there is never a bad time. There are honestly way too many memories and too many folks to thank. But a special shout out to El Prez and the Jenkins family for setting the record for distance traveled to this event. You'll always be a Dove, and like you, I will soon also be Dove's biggest fan. Each of you, or each of these places, gave me lifelong friends, unforgettable experiences, and a few embarrassing call signs that I will not share today. But today isn't just special for me. It's also an honor to be sharing this retirement ceremony with my fellow Air Force retiree, someone I've had the privilege of knowing for the past 9 years. We've flown, worked, laughed together, and I couldn't think of a better person to close out this chapter of my career with. Thank you for your friendship, your service, and for making sure I never took this journey alone. Coming up. We're getting there. To my friends and extended family, Sarah and Bob, thank you all for your kindness and friendships throughout the years. And your attendance today means a great deal to the family and I. To my fellow aviators, you are the reason this job never felt like just a job. We've shared long flights, longer debriefs, and some truly amazing in-flight meals. Mostly. Only a couple have tested my fortitude and tolerance for spicy food. I will miss the camaraderie, the late night stories and crew rest, and the unspoken bond that comes from collectively surviving another AMD or party scheduling surprise. I also want to take a moment to recognize two very special people watching remotely. My parents, Pam and Dennis. Mom and Dad, without your support, I would have never achieved the dreams and goals that led me here today. From the early days of chasing planes at air shows to the late nights of forcing me to do my homework, you were always there. And now I 1000% understand the frustration that I put you through thanks to these guys. Thank you for your unwavering belief in me, even when I wasn't quite sure what I was doing myself. To my sisters and their amazing families, thank you for supporting your favorite brother throughout the years. Only brother. I solemnly continue to bow my vow of annoyance. To my family, thank you for your patience, support, and for never changing the locks when I return from yet another deployment or TDY. You endured the moves, the long nights. My post-mission rants about AMC scheduling makes zero sense. Allie, Liam, Hannah, this milestone would mean nothing without you here. I love you more than words can express. I am beyond grateful for your unwavering support through every challenge, every move, every moment of this journey. You are my greatest source of pride, and I will always be your champion and biggest supporter, no matter what the future holds for you. Watching you grow and succeed has been the most rewarding part of my life, and I can't wait to see the incredible things that you will accomplish. Thank you for standing by me. I am truly the luckiest husband and father in the world. Almost there, I swear. 22 years later, this journey is over. No accolade, award, or honor compares to the humbling presence of friends and family. True wealth isn't defined by possession or position, but by the presence of those who go with you. And I am a very wealthy man indeed. Thank you. I love you guys. All right. Thought I was done speaking. I'm not. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my great honor to introduce you to the newest member of the Happily Retired Club. After 22 years of dedicated service, he's gone from delivering firepower to cargo to VIPs, proving that in aviation, the older you get, the smaller and fancier the planes become. From the mighty AC-130 to the humble Caravan to the sleek C-21, he has flown it all. So now, before Delta slaps a wheel cap on him and hands him a passenger complaint form, let's take a moment to recognize his incredible career. Reminder, you are now the only thing standing between this crowd and the food. Ladies and gentlemen, the United States Air Force is proud to present our next guest of honor and newest retiree, Lieutenant Colonel Chris C-Dubb Warner, retired United States Air Force.
Apologies, I promise I'm not crying, there's just glitter in my eye. Before I start, Dan, thanks for doing this with me. Colonel Gibson's saying, I couldn't imagine this going off any better than it has today. This is phenomenal. Thank you. I learned from my tenure in the Air Force that you don't stand in the way of leaving for the weekend or beer. In this particular instance, I found myself between both, so I'll make this quick. Plus, you guys know how much I hate to talk. Quick moment to echo the thanks for the literal dozens of people who came together to make this dream born on a bar napkin 6 months ago happen. Couldn't have done this without you, and wow, it's phenomenal. Most of you who know me know that above all else, I value your time. As I look out into the audience, I'm humbled by the amazing people who took time out of their lives to be here with us today. Well, today culminates my military career. I offer that today isn't about me, it's about all of you. See, humans are herd animals. The very nature of what it is that we do in the service of our country requires others. We need people to lead us. We need people to lead, people to motivate us and provide meaning to what we do, people to provide our air power to do. Nothing I did in the past 22 years, I did alone. And today is the final chance I have to say thank you to those who were there to help me along. I'll apologize in advance, as I will not undoubtedly miss a few folks as I do this. Please don't take this as a slight. I'm old and emotional, and as I said, standing between airfare and beer. Warning, a grown man crying makes you uncomfortable. Buckle up. To Mom, Dad, and Amanda, thank you for my childhood experiences in making me the person I am today. Mom, you're one of the toughest women I know. I look forward to being closer to you. Dad, I wish you were still here with us. I miss you some way every day. I hope that what I have accomplished made you proud. And that I was the officer you would have wanted to work for. I love you. Buckle tickets. Charles, I don't know what I did to deserve you. Certainly not made life easy for you. You've always supported my dreams, praised my success, and lifted me from failure. Whatever life has thrown our way, we've yet to meet our match. You're the most amazing woman I've ever met. We raised our children under the shadow of uncertainty and media blackouts, not knowing the next time you'd hear from me. You held together our lives when I couldn't, and still found time to support friends, the airmen, and teams. And oh, by the way, if that wasn't enough, you did cancer tests a few times while you were doing it. You'll always be my love and my hero. Autumn, I'll always remember the day you were born as the greatest day of my life, because you gave me the gift of fatherhood. Your strong will, independence, and toughness would bring a Navy SEAL to shame. You're beautiful and smart. No matter how tall you go, you'll always be a big girl. Alexander, I'll always remember the studious look in your eyes on the day you were born, looking around and taking it all in as if you were analyzing the room. Little did I know that that would just be the beginning. Your tremendous heart, emotional intelligence, and drive make me envious of the young man that you've become. I'm so proud of both of you each and every day. To Pamela, JB, and the entire Thompson, Bainham, Waddell family group, thank you for taking me as one of your own. I've been blessed as you've shared the gift of your family with me and been there to celebrate our milestones as we navigate this journey together. To Cody, Matt, David, Dan, Kevin, Mike, John, throughout the tyranny of distance and all the shenanigans that we dealt with through the Air Force. Apologies. The good, the bad, the ugly. Your friendships have remained unfazed. I've been blessed to have you there to support my family and my career. See the brothers I never had. The friends that I can walk into a room and crack a beer after years apart. It was just like yesterday that we saw each other. I can't wait to go fishing and kick one back in the gas. To Inge, Eric, Anya, and our Konkin friends. Entschuldigung, mein Deutsch ist nicht gut. Ja, Inge, ich weiß. 5 Jahren. Dein Fundelied und dein warmes Herz waren ein Segen für unsere Familie. Wir lieben dich, Inge. Danke, dass du Oma bist. To the leaders and the commanders who had the courage to take a chance on me and to let me loose to take on the challenges and the duties I've been assigned. I appreciate the mentorship, patience, and support provided for each and every one of you. To the crews I've had the honor of being a part of, commanding from Sluggo to Spectre to Slasher to Sorab to Valor. Each aircraft had a different mission, a different feel, a different dynamic, but always in support and defense of someone who needed us. Thank you for always working together to get it done, and always getting us home. A hero of mine once told me to always pay it forward. I'd like to conclude today with some, as our student mayor here would call, unsolicited old man advice. That I've learned from 2 decades of flying, and that hopefully resonates in some way with those who will carry the torch forward after we're done. 1, always expect to be fired upon, especially while firing. I've learned that it's actually more true in the staff environment than in combat. Surprisingly, if you can believe that. But always be ready to defend your position, even when you're on the offensive. 2, be humble in your leadership and know that everyone on your team is amazing at something. It's your job to find out what that is and let them thrive. Seek feedback in your leadership and your operational craft. When you stop doing this is when you become dangerous. 3, but why? You heard that before, right? Always know what your problem is you're trying to solve and why it needs to be done. Avoid meaningless box checking and don't suffer in silence. Let your boss know how to resource you and allow you to get the job done. 4, be the leader or supervisor you needed when you were younger. Strive to make the organization better. Always ask yourself, would I want my child to work here? Finally, send it. Execute with violence, precision, and dedication. Don't half-ass and don't accept anything less than your very best. I love you all, and I thank you for who you are and what you do. You'll always be a part of our family. Thanks. God bless.
Thank you, Lieutenant Colonel Warner. Ladies and gentlemen, the men and women of the United States Air Force are proud to have served Lieutenant Colonel Morgan and Lieutenant Colonel Warner. They will always be valuable members to the Air Force family and the Doves, even in retirement. We wish them and their families all the success in their future endeavors. Now please stand for the playing of the Air Force song, Departure of the Official Party and Family Members.
We're not going anywhere. We are going to be changing here very shortly, so if you do want photos with any of us up here, then you better get it quick. Otherwise, food and beer. Enjoy, guys.
Wait a second, right before I do.
Oh my God.
So not cool.
We said it yesterday. Nothing's going to go perfectly. You know, like, I promise we practiced it. It's gonna be